Picture, if you will, the Andean highlands of South America in 1802, where gale-force winds rage at an altitude of over 5,000 meters. A Prussian aristocrat in his 30s lies prostrate upon the freezing rock, using numbed fingers to record atmospheric humidity and pressure. Beneath him lies a sheer abyss, above him the thin, gasping air, yet in his eyes flickers a fervor bordering on the divine. He has come neither for gold mines nor for the conquest of territory. He seeks only to know if the moss here and the forests of Berlin share the same breath of life. His name was Alexander von Humboldt. Tonight, by the soft pulse of the hearth, let us journey through his true life with this story, one you need not labor to remember. He was the last of the great polymaths, a pontiff of nature whose brilliance once left even Darwin in awe. Behind the epic tapestry of his explorations lay a philosophy of profound delicacy and stillness, viewing nature as a single, organic whole. In the quiet of the night, let us slowly unveil the mystery of this explorer's fate, a life as silent as the mountains, yet as expansive as the starry vault above. Humboldt's life seemed, from its inception, imprisoned within an exquisite cage of glory. Born in 1769 to a prominent Berlin family, his father an aide-de-camp to the Prussian king, he was groomed by his mother to be a rigid state bureaucrat. In his early years, while ostensibly studying law and economics within the gilded halls of his estate, he spent his midnights surreptitiously categorizing plants. To him, the opulent banquets and tedious etiquette were merely dust upon the soul. He once remarked, "I am seized by a restless, never-ceasing longing for the distant." The passing of his mother in 1796 granted him the unreasonable freedom he had long craved, along with a staggering inheritance. Instead of acquiring estates or investing in bonds, he made a decision that sent tremors through Berlin's high society. He liquidated his entire fortune to fund his own mapping of the globe. He waited 2 long years in Paris just to secure a passport to the New World. This decisiveness was not merely an abandonment of wealth, but a total departure from the stale, ossified worldview of old Europe. When he finally boarded the small vessel Pizarro, he watched the horizon dissolve and felt, for the first time, an absolute peace. In 1799, as Humboldt took his first steps upon the shores of Venezuela, he felt as though he had wandered into God's own sketchbook. Over the following 5 years, alongside his companion Bonpland, he undertook a pilgrimage of near martyrdom through the mists of the Amazon and the snows of the Andes. He captured bioluminescent electric eels in the dead of night, enduring agonizing shocks merely to measure the intensity of biological current. He shielded his precision instruments, more precious to him than life itself, against lethal tropical downpours while cramped in narrow canoes. Yet, what set him apart from the contemporary plant hunters was his refusal to merely collect exotic flora. He pondered why plant species fluctuated in such rhythmic cycles as altitude increased. At the frigid zenith of Mount Chimborazo, he suddenly realized that the Earth was not a dead accumulation of minerals, but a vast, breathing, sentient organism. This grand, Zen-like intuition led him to draft his famous Naturgemald, Map of Nature. On that sheet of paper, volcanoes, ocean currents, migratory birds, and blossoms were woven together by an invisible field of force. In that moment, this solitary German became the first human to truly perceive the heartbeat of the world. Humboldt returned to Europe in 1804 with over 40 crates overflowing with specimens and journals. In that instant, he became a global icon. Napoleon once remarked to him with a hint of jealousy, "You study plants? So do I." Yet everyone knew their scales were worlds apart. Settling in Paris, Humboldt began the longest and most tranquil recreation of his life. For over 20 years, he self-funded the publication of his 30-volume personal narrative of travels to the equinoctial regions of the new continent, until his very last gold coin was spent. At the center of the world's most clamorous Vanity Fair, he lived like a cloistered scholar, sleeping only 4 hours a night, devoting the rest to organizing the data gathered across the ocean. He began to challenge the colonial plunder of land, keenly observing that deforestation led to climate desiccation, that the balance of nature was being shattered by human avarice. This prophetic understanding of ecosystems sent shockwaves through the scientific community of the time, yet it also plunged him into a profound isolation. He found that while people hungered for his tales of adventure, few grasped the expansive compassion of universal interconnectedness in his writing. As he walked the misty streets of Paris, his mind remained haunted by the eternal drone of cicadas deep within the Amazonian rain. In his later years, Humboldt returned to Berlin. Though draped in the mantle of royal advisor, his inner world underwent a slow, graceful collapse toward the essential. He grew gaunt, yet his eyes became increasingly translucent, as if seeing through the material world to a realm of pure logic. In a cluttered apartment filled with maps, compasses, and rock samples, he began his final sprint, the writing of Cosmos. It was a magnum opus attempting to unify astronomy, geography, and biology, a final requiem left for humanity. Through his prose, He sought to build a spiritual cathedral where every reader could feel the majesty and magnanimity of nature. In those days, he ignored the intrigues of politics and remained indifferent to his own poverty. He once joked, "I have mapped the Earth's magnetic field, yet I cannot balance my own checkbook." This total shedding of worldly success bestowed upon his late-life persona a near-transparent nobility. Late into the night, he wrote letters to young scientists in distant lands, even sending words of encouragement to a fledgling Charles Darwin. He was a courier of intellect, striving in the fading light of his life to ignite the lanterns of the next generation of explorers. In May 1859, Alexander von Humboldt peacefully closed his eyes in his Berlin home. That same year, Darwin published On the Origin of Species. A new era of biology had begun, and the old master had served as the bridge that led to it. At the time of his passing, the mountains, rivers, ocean currents, and lunar craters bearing his name across the globe were enough to assemble an entire planet. Yet his true legacy lay not in those names, but in the magnificent vision of nature as a whole. He answered the question posed at the beginning: the moss of the Andes and the forests of Berlin do indeed share the same breath. Our story for tonight has concluded. May the vastness of this prophet of nature bring you some measure of solace in the deep of the night. Now, release your trivial anxieties. Let your thoughts, like Humboldt's maps, slowly extend into the distance. In that green dreamscape, free of strife and boundaries, you will find that you too are a steady and indispensable thread in this vast web of life. Good night.